So it's a wonderful program, and I am the grader or the assessor. I will, unless I'm on vacation, or which is not going to happen very often, or I'm sick, you'll be sending everything to me. Everything will automatically, when you submit, comes to me. And then I usually, because I'm widowed and I don't do anything but this, I usually answer you within 6 to 12 hours. I'm really good because I think that you have given your time and your work to put this and submit it. So I want me to get back to you as quickly as possible. So if it is a resubmit, you'll understand what's going on. If it's an acceptance, you'll understand, because I always write something at the bottom about the suggestions or the examples or whatever you gave. So I'm going to turn my picture off so I can share screens. And I need to stop the video. Okay, so I'm going to go. You cannot minimize when you're recording. Okay, I can't minimize. Okay, so what I'll do it this way. I'm not going to be able to do it that way and record. I'll bring this forward. Okay, so this is the screen that you pull up. And this is the dashboard.
Yeah, we're not seeing your screen. All we see is a box. So you might need to hit share screen down at the bottom.
I thought I had, but who knows? I was going to share. So I need to share my screen. Share. And then I'm going to share another.
There you go. It's coming.
Okay, and I have another one I need to share too. Mm-hmm. I have another picture I need to share in a minute, but that's not it right now. Okay, there's my screen. So this is the dashboard. It gives you lots and lots of information. You can launch into...
We're on your picture. We see the collecting evidence document.
Okay. Can you tell this is the one that I've not done this before? Okay, so let me get out of this one and not share this one anymore.
Okay. Zoom's great.
Yeah, Zoom is great. Can you see what document are you seeing now?
Collecting evidence document.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to stop share that one. So I'll go back to it and stop the share on that one. Okay, so not minimize. Okay, now are you seeing this screen?
Nope, the instructional screen.
Okay, this is the dashboard, right?
No, we see you need to share your screen. It doesn't, it just says nice personal meeting room. It doesn't say you need to, yeah.
It's not wanting to share anything today with me. Okay, share. I guess I'll do share one at a time. Okay, there we are. Right?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, now we're there. So this launches you into a lot of different things. Over here on the left-hand side is our dashboard, the NCST certificate map. This is your best friend in the world. You can find everything here. Submission history, where you can put some notes down and you can keep them forever and ever and ever if you see something you really like. This is a help button. Announcements, if you want to check announcements and see if something has been written that you need to know. Our video library and our collecting evidence document. So with all of these things, and they're all at the top too, or a lot of them are, this is your note-taking area that you can actually go into, and if you see something that you really want to take notes on, you can jot it down and save it. The announcements are the same as what they would be at the bottom, where you can look at them, and like Kyle wrote us an announcement, and then Whitney welcomed us back, to school. Those are all things. And then there's a chat button, and I got the impression from the launch I listened into the other day, you can chat between your group. You can't chat from your school to another school if you know another school that's doing this. It's only between your group. But you can, and we recommend, or we hope that you will work together, although when you submit, you use your own voice when you submit. We don't want copying and pasting from each other's submissions, but use your own voice in your submission. So you might get on chat because you may be all over the different building and say, hey, I'm on indicator 2. What kind of ideas did you get? And let me tell you what I thought. And chat about that for a little bit, and then you can go back and work on your indicator separately with some of the ideas that you had. And then there's the email. Now, this is not my favorite email, except if you're going to email the support at nice.com. If you go through you go through all this work and you find a link that doesn't work, then by all means feel free to use the email to support@nice.institute and send them the information that the link isn't working. But with this email, you can email me, but I can't email you back from this email address. I have to go and establish another email on my own email account. And so it's fine. I don't mind doing that. But I just want you to know that you won't get an email from me with this same address. It'll be my Gmail account. And my email account is vpitts@nice.institute. And so I get it. I look at it all the time, and I have a notification on my phone that when I get an email that I can see who it's from and whether it's something very important has to be done now or whether I could wait, 20 or 30 minutes. But this is an email option here. And then this is where you can find your submission feedback. But you can also find your submission feedback when you go back here to the dashboard. Because back here, new coach feedback, and you can view that. This tells how many submissions that you've indicated that you've submitted, how many indicators are submitted, like maybe you had 4 at one time you could do. And this tells you the total overall that you've done. And here's another place for announcements. So this over here, the program progress, if you've done 6 and they've all been accepted, it will show 6 of 38 because there are 38 indicators to work on. Now, a lot of people have said, well, this is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But let me tell you, you could use these strategies and these indicators in every subject in your school. If you have somebody doing cooperative learning, you can use some of these cooperative learning strategies like how to handle conflict and resolution, how to do interdependence. They all fit into a regular classroom. We started out this program as a STEM program. But other people wanted to be certified in it, other curriculums, and so it does work for every, curriculum that you do, for every subject area. You just and I do reading. I have reading ones that are submitted all the time. You just have to look at the lesson that's going on to make it fit into the particular indicator. And that's the reason why it's so good, is because if you're teaching a math class and they're doing some little group work together and somebody starts a small child and they start grabbing at things from one another, then there's a conflict and resolution right there that you could put down and write down for later if you haven't gotten to that one yet or haven't done it. And you could talk about it. When you look at a classroom, you may end up being able to do 3 or 4 indicators because they all fit in to a different strategy. So it's not just set up, you don't go into a classroom and look, or you don't videotape your own classroom, or you don't use one of our videos and say, oh, I'm going to just do safe and accessibility of the classroom. It might be 2 or 3 different ones that you could lay out your evidence papers and, hey, I got this for this and I got this for that. And you might be able to do 2 or 3 in 20 minutes just videotaping yourself or another teacher. And one of the things about this is that this program is a reflection on your teaching or the teaching of whoever you are looking at, but ultimately it's a reflection of your own teaching. Are you using these strategies? Is the classroom only for you, or is it for your students to learn? Ultimately, we want them to be successful. And every student learns differently. So these strategies, there's a wide enough variety of strategies in this program that every child should be able to learn. And so it is a reflection of the teaching that goes on, and it's self-reflection, because you sit back and think, well, I wasn't very nice to that child. When he got a wrong answer, I said, no, that's wrong. Where I should have said, think just a little bit. Let me reword the question. Think about it now as I state it again. Something like that, instead of being harsh with a child. And I know that we don't do that very often, but sometimes it's a bad day and it comes out rather harsh. But there are ways that this will work, and it's a reflection on us as our teaching, so we can better ourselves to get our material across to our students. Now, in this program, you have 1 year for completion. Do y'all have a goal set on how soon you want to complete it?
Yes.
How soon?
April.
April. Oh, well, you've given yourself plenty of time. We had some group that wanted to finish it, like within 6 weeks. It's doable. It's but not while you're teaching full time. I think it's very difficult to do. But yeah, April, and you should be able to do, if you do 2 a week, or even 3 a week, you can finish it well before April if you don't have a lot of resubmissions. And over the holidays, if you even do 1 or 2 over the holidays, you should be able to finish it way before April. And you can set your own perimeters on, we would like to get through domain 1 by, Thanksgiving or Christmas, and then domain 2 by the end of February, and then domain 3 by the end of April. And then I don't know when you get out, but you might still have a couple more weeks after that if you got in a bind.
We don't get out till the first part of June. So.
Oh, you get out the first part of June. So you have another month. If something happens and you get in a bind, you would have a little bit. But you have a full year to get it all done. And so you will discuss, the guidelines and how you want to do it as a group. Do you want to meet, once a week as a group? That's up to you, how you handle any of this. We just ask that you put your own voice in as when you answer and do your submissions. Are there any questions so far?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, so now the next thing is with having these people and you getting a contract with STEM Scopes, that you get 5 one-hour monthly virtual office hours. So starting next month, you'll have an hour with me if you choose. These are all optional. That's part of the contract. So if you don't have anything that's an emergency, you can save it. Then when I set up the office hours, then you can log in, and I send an invitation, and then and all the dates and everything. And then I send a reminder about 4 days before, and you can log on for 10 or 15 minutes and say, I need help with this. Can you show me something? And I can do that, because it's just like this. It's Zoom again. And there's 5 of those. So that would start next month and carry you through February.
Okay, good. Very nice, very nice.
But again, it's optional. You don't have to stay the whole hour. I stay the whole hour, but you can come in. If you don't have anything going on, you don't even have to come if you don't want to. That's strictly up to the way your school wants to handle it. You need to discuss it and let me know, if this time during the week would be a good time, since it seems like maybe y'all are off. Or if the only day I cannot do is Monday. I'm Grandma Day, can't do it in the afternoon. I have a responsibility there. But other than that, I can do it any other day of the week in the afternoon. And we only do it once a month. So talk it over, and you can email me and let me know give me a couple of options, what would be the best day and the best time to do the virtual office hours, and then I'll look at everything, and then I'll email you back and let you know this is what excuse me, this is what it's going to look like. So, but those are good and through February. Also, sometimes when you, and I have a student, but it's not an active student, it's me that this picture is about, the screen is about. But occasionally as an active student, you will get surveys. And if you choose to take those surveys, those are fine. Some of the people are working on their doctorates and they have these surveys for their classes, and so they have you do surveys. It's not required, but they would like some input from the candidates that are using the program. Another thing that you will see, and I don't have it on my screen, but up here there would be a video icon that is called, it's an introductory video, and you have to watch that before, or you have to watch it or it's not going to ever go away. So if you don't watch it, then it'll be there, the whole 38 indicators. It's just an introduction on what the whole program is about, but it will stay there, and I don't have one because this is not an active program right here. But I think it's 5 minutes long, and you can watch that and get an overview of everything that's going on too. Your progress, you'll set your own goals, like whether you want to get through the first 5 indicators, say in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And, you can set your own progress individually, or you can set your progress as a group, as long as you finish up by your goal date of April. That's between you and everybody in your group. I don't have a progression date for you or a time. You do it whenever you can. I've had some that have taken, individuals that have taken up to 11 and a half months to finish it, but that's fine. They were within their year. So how you progress is up to you. I also like for you to sometimes you may be able to videotape your own classroom when you're doing an observation. You set your own, you may not have the technology, so you may end up having to go to another teacher's class to observe. I found that they would prefer that you ask if they can come in and videotape them, or ask if you can come in and sit in their class, unless you're a principal or a supervisor that can just pop in anytime you want to. But take those, and then you can look at them and then do your indicators. We like you to do your own classroom, but that's not always feasible. Pardon me?
I'm not teaching anymore, but I do the walkthroughs with the teachers.
Okay.
So I just tape them then?
Yeah, you can do it then. If you can't, like, say you're doing a CER, which is a claim, evidence, and reasoning, and nobody's doing one of those, and maybe you haven't learned a whole lot about those, or maybe nobody's doing a PBL, go to our video library, and I'll show you some of those. And you can look it up under PBL, whatever grade level you want to look at, and you can use those. Or you can go to YouTube, and ours is project-based when we do the PBLs, not the other one they used, problem-based. Ours is project-based. There's just some of them are problem-based. So make sure you get the one that we need, which is project-based. You might not be doing an engineering project, so you can go to the teaching channel, you can go to YouTube. We have some too. Somebody may be doing an engineering project. So use whatever you can. I wasn't in the classroom when I did this. I'd already retired. So I used my own teaching experience in the past, and I used all of the videos and YouTube for all of mine because it was state testing for us, and they wouldn't let me in the school. So I had to use all other ways because I couldn't get in the classroom. So use what you can get from, and YouTube has a lot on all of these teaching strategies.
So would we wouldn't submit the video of our classroom. It was just if we wanted to video our own classroom just so we could go back and review that. That's your
Right.
suggestion? We
Right.
have to,
The where you put artifacts is not large enough to do a video, because I had a person that watched some students do some things and she wanted to upload it and she couldn't because it doesn't hold up. Plus you've got privacy.
right. That's,
Problem.
yeah.
I do have some that have gotten permission. I do have some that go through and mark out the faces so you can just see what's going on, but there's no faces there. But no, you don't upload the video for us. We just want you, and if you're strong enough and young enough and not like me, you can probably remember what you did in the classroom, but it's easier to video yourself.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was just a helpful hint.
Right.
Okay.
So it's however you want to do it. There may be some instances you just have to resort to just using our video library or YouTube. It amounts to that, especially if you want to do something over the holidays where you don't have a classroom to go observe in. But on the side here, you can find everything here. This is the help, and on this help you have the NCST introduction, which is a video you have to watch, and it's not very long. This is one that I think everybody needs to watch, and we didn't have this video when I started, and I don't think we had it when Ashley, because we were at the same time. Creating strong portfolio submissions. And you'll see in just a few minutes when I go through an indicator. There are certain things you have to put in the submissions, and sometimes I get very little, like one sentence. Well, one sentence usually doesn't give me enough information. I have to have enough knowledge that I'm almost in your classroom, that I can see what's going on in your classroom, but I'm not there. So before I can really get an idea of what's going on, I have to have some of the information. There's like 15 different steps in the information. I don't need all those. You pick and choose the ones that you think are the best. I just graded one that had 4 paragraphs. It doesn't have to be done in paragraph form. It can be done in bullets. It can be just done in short sentences. It can be however you want to do it, as long as you cover enough information that I can feel like I'm somewhat in the picture, seeing what's going on. But this is very, very good. I've had people that would get a couple of resubmits and they would go back and watch this, and the aha moment came on in their head and said, I'm not doing this one step right here. No wonder I'm getting resubmits. Even though I stated it, sometimes they don't reread what we wrote when they have to resubmit. So, and believe me, I had some resubmits when I did the program. So this is a very strong one. So this is the help area. It explains how to use the video library. And down here is the video library. And it's divided up where it's got all the actions. It's got elementary, high school, middle school. Here are the indicators. So if you wanted to do, like I'm going to show you one on equity of response. You could put in here equity of, I don't know if it'll mark because this is not a valid one, but let's see if it'll set it for me. And so now I've got quadratic functions in a 6th grade math class that's going to show equity of responses. Now, are all these going to be perfect? No, these were taken from public schools in different areas. Not just in Houston, but some on the East Coast, some on the West Coast. And so, no, they're not going to be perfect. You're going to be assessing what's going on in that classroom. So, and you'll see sometimes and you think, oh my goodness, that could never happen in mine. Well, you'd be surprised, especially if there's a sub there. These are very helpful, but they now go all the way through all of the areas that you need to go to. So, and the last one is one that you will see. I just clicked on, I don't know what I clicked on. This is your evidence documents. You're collecting evidence. These must be submitted and completely filled out, because without those, You can make a claim, but you have your own evidence. But if they're not uploaded, I can't see the evidence. So I can't assess anything else from that point because I don't have a document to make sure that your claim is correct. So it needs to be uploaded. Sometimes people upload them as a document that's uploaded, and some of them upload them or they download them as an attachment, and then it comes into my Word, and of course I delete them right after that because I don't want my computer filled up with them. But you can upload them. If for some reason there's a paper shortage in your school, you can do your own, but you have to make sure that all of these components are part of it. You could do front and back because when you upload, you're going to be doing one side of it. So there's 38 of these. We actually launched a group on Wednesday, and the person who was in charge was going to go and do 38 for each one of their 5 members. So they were all done at one time. So when you go into Miss Susie's class and she's doing something, maybe a PBL, you could probably take conflict resolutions, the PBL itself, the questioning. You could do 2 or 3, and you could check off all these things on maybe four different evidence documents. So I would recommend, if you can do it, to run them all off at one time. And then you can upload them whenever you use them. So like this one has a lot of, and you don't have to fill out every one of them, you fill out as many as needed, but you have to answer the reflective questions. I just had one resubmit yesterday. They filled out the whole top, didn't answer one thing on the bottom. I can't give credit for that because it wasn't complete. Also, sometimes like this one, it says, in what ways could the teacher improve interactions with the students? And I've had some that say, I don't think she can. That's not going to get you by with me, because every teacher, I don't care if you're a role model, can always improve. And so if nothing more, then you might put, the teacher could have a friendlier, maybe she's been really a gruff teacher or something, a friendlier attitude toward the student or whatever it's about. But there's always a way that every teacher can improve what's going on in the classroom. So make sure that when you do an evidence document that it is complete and it's submitted, because if not, we're going to go right back to a resubmit and you'll have to start over. So
are the documents editable online, or you have to fill them out actually by hand?
You have to fill them out by hand.
Oh, so we got to make sure we write clearly then, right?
Well, I taught for so many years, I can read hand scratch just about, but it needs to be dark enough. I've had a couple that wrote in pencil, and it must have been a number 6 pencil because I couldn't read anything. And I can really expand, but I'm older, and so I can't see really light stuff. I mean, I have good eyes, but I can't see the really light stuff. So yeah, I would say you're going to see mine and how I, hand scratched mine when I did a document. But as long as it's done in ink, you're good.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, and like I said, I would do it front and back, so whenever you upload it, you can do one side for like indicator 1, and then indicator 2, you're going to turn it over when you get to indicator 2, and you'll upload that side. So at least you're only doing 19 pages instead of 38. So that might help if you have a problem with paper and stuff. And some schools do. We had somebody that said we can't use paper for this kind of thing at our school. So, so you can make your own as long as you include all the reflection questions and everything not the directions, of course, but the reflection questions in the box or whatever is needed there.
So as long as we recreated it so you could tell what it was, then
right.
we could do it electronically.
Right, and as long as you put the indicator number at the top. You can still upload the same way. But yeah, if you want to save paper, you can do it that way. And it
Right.
still does the same thing.
So you just wanted as an attachment then?
You could, well, as
Or
if you
Submit.
if you're going to recreate your own, you'll just draw out your own, rewrite your own, and then you can upload it. I've not uploaded anything with this program because we didn't do that back then, or I didn't do any. But you can just take a picture of it with your phone or with your computer camera or with, like, I have Jing that I use, and then upload it to the document.
Or we have our copy machine will scan an email, so. a
Okay,
PDF form.
yeah, so it'll work that way too. So you can do any of those. So we're going to go back to the certificate map, because this is where everything is there. And the first thing you do is you expand it so you can see everything. And when you get down here, these are all the how you implement STEM, and some, again, helpful documents are your collecting evidence documents. So you've got one down here in the bottom, collecting evidence, and you've got one here, helpful documents. There'll be one in each one of these, and there'll be one on the submission form. So you have 4 places at least you can find evidence documents. So the computer means you're going to open the content pages that I'm going to open up in just a minute. The briefcase is you're opening up the indicator portfolio, which is where your submissions will be written on. So it goes through all of this, like domain 1 is creating an environment for learning. So there's all different kinds: academic focus, student-to-student interactions, student interdependence. And then you come down here to domain 2, which is building a scientific understanding, implementing inquiry, student contribution, lesson sequence, how do you handle student misconceptions? How do you resolve student misconceptions? That could be in any subject. And then levels of cognition. Do you always use, the first level of questions, or do you really kind of go as high as you can go with higher level thinking? So, and then you're going to get to domain 3, which is engaging students in scientific and engineering practices. And even though a lot of this, like engineering designs, you could use this in an English project of some sort. You could figure out how to manipulate it. Or if not, go visit a class that's doing an engineering. I don't know if they have shop classes, but I'm sure on the video on YouTube they have engineering designs. I know, because I actually developed one because I wrote for STEM Scopes for a while. So they have all kinds. And this goes all the way to the end, which is indicator 38, which is developing all kinds of critiques and analysis and critique of explanations. The one that you may have the most problem with is CER, which is claim, evidence, and reasoning. A lot of schools have not done this yet. But when you get to that, you can always go to YouTube, and these indicator content pages will give you places to go to understand claim, evidence, and reasoning. It's pretty self-explanatory, like Crest makes a claim that 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Crest. Well, then you've got to go and look up the evidence, and you search for the evidence that, and you get a list of the doctors that have said, here is the evidence we have. Well, you've got your evidence. So with reasoning, then you can reasonably say that due to the evidence of the doctor stating this and all of the results and the criteria and the analysis that they did, that this is going to be an applicable claim for Crest toothpaste. So that's probably the one, for me, that was the most problem because I had not ever done it, named as that. But if you have a problem with it, the first thing I learned with a claim is go to the ads of a magazine. Every ad has a claim on it. The longest lasting mascara there is, that's a claim. Now you got to find the evidence to back that up. So that's a step. They've learned how to find a claim, and then you go from there. So, but today we're going to work on equity of responses. And I took this from Ashley yesterday. I was going to use another one, but I like the way this happened. So I clicked on the computer and I went to equity of responses, and I can start here or I can pull down, I call it the hot dog grill, and I can start here. And this is your first look. There's reflection questions there. How might the Cardomatic strategy increase student participation? We want equity of responses. We don't want just one student answering all the questions. We want everybody to have an equal chance. And so you go through each one of this. The first look is kind of like the engage part or the hook part of a lesson. And then you can scroll over these little buttons here to the next part. And this is what. What we learn is kind of like what the indicator is about. So this is the opportunity versus actuality. How does a teacher pose a question where everybody will get involved? The depth of the responses. Are they in depth or are they superficial? Yes, no, I don't know. Teacher attention. How do they get the teacher attention? Standing up and down, jumping up and down, or do they raise their hand or do thumbs up if it's a whole class attention? So this is what the indicator is about as a whole. The why is the research. Let me see if I get to a why. Why? And that's what. That's a reflection. You can do this question and then put these apart. It's not going to let me do it. But bring it all the way to where you want to, and then you can submit it if you want to, or you can just practice it yourself. It doesn't give you an answer at the end. So here's related research for this indicator. There's some more reflection questions. See if I can get. Here's some strategies. How to encourage total student participation. And then strategies to use. Go round, no opts out. Cold call, tracking students' responses. And then there's still some more that you can use. Strategies to use when all students will respond. You know, the thumbs-a-meter, the fist to 5, hot seat, think, pair, share, turn and talk. So these are ideas. There's a lot more that you could use, but these are strategies that they give you. And then the last part, well, there's some more reflection. Oh, I just left. And this is the one where in different connections, these are some ideas where they have members are welcomed by a more experienced team member and invited to ask questions about a new situation. So it shows how you can get everybody involved if you're doing something else. And then finally, here are some videos you can use and some articles if you want to even further the information. But this is the content of it. And sometimes people have to go back and read it 2 or 3 times. Or they think they know enough about it, they go and try to do the submission and they find out they don't know as much as they thought, so they have to go back and read it again, which is fine. There's no limit on how many times you read it. I've read it several times. So is there any questions about how the content works? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So now let's look at the portfolio. Here is the portfolio submissions. The first part is gather and organize your data. This is required. We want contextual data. Here is the list of things that you can do, but by no means do you not have to know, I don't have to know all of these things. I'd like to know the number of students, the number of adults, content area. Depending on what this indicator is, I would have to know the physical classroom. Like if it's safety and accessibility, I'd have to know the physical classroom. But if I wouldn't, then I need to do, I wouldn't have to know all of that. Some materials, I might have to know that in some of the submissions. How many students are engaged? I always like to know how many students are engaged. Sometimes this part right here has saved the teacher. They put down the strengths or the examples in regard to that indicator. And they also put a suggestion. And then when they got down, they didn't quite cut it. So I would say your suggestions in the box were not adequate, but because you added suggestions at the top that were and didn't bring them down, I will give you credit this time only. So sometimes it has saved. So in here you would write your contextual data. I usually put, if it's strong, I'll put strong contextual data or concise data. But you can't just put 7th grade class science. That's not going to get it. I don't know anything about your classroom. I need more like seven desks, two to a desk, smart board in the front, whatever is there. So, you know, I was going to show you the evidence document, but I don't think I'm going to be able to because I can't seem to share more than one document. But I can try again. And try a new share and see if it'll come up. If it doesn't, then I won't be able to show it to you. And there it is.
Hey, can you just click on the document and then see if it pops up instead of resharing? Like try to click. Sometimes if I just click on my document instead of like resharing it, sometimes it works.
Okay, let me see. If not, I'll just tell you what I did. I can bring up the regular evidence document. Can you see that? Can you see the evidence document?
No, we don't see it.
You might be able to close this window and then share that one.
I can do that, and then open this one back up.
At the same time, but you can minimize one and then open the other one maybe. If you minimize your screen here, you might be able to then see that document.
Okay, let me see if I can do that, because I know I can minimize the screen. That's not what I want. Can you see it now?
No.
Okay, it's not. Let me see if I can. If I can't do a new share, I don't want to take too long because I don't want to. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my evidence document. Now, I am not an artist by any means, and so I made a mistake I can't count. So here's my smart board. Here's the tables. There are 2 at each one. She asked a question, and one from this table, one from this table, two questions for this guy, and one question for this guy, and one question here. She only, and on down here I put that only 6 of 14 answered questions, which is only 43% of the class. That's not nearly enough. So then it says, what did you, let me make it a little bigger. Were there any patterns a student called on students emerge? Yeah, she called on all the students who had their hands raised or who were waving at her, and only one person from the back who had his hand raised was called on. So there was a pattern. It was only the hand raised kids, and most of them were in the front. So that's my evidence. Only 43%. That's not a very good average for a class to look at. Now, can you see this document again? Are you still looking at evidence?
Yeah, we're still looking at evidence.
Still looking at evidence.
Okay, so I'm going to do a new share again. Now are you seeing my STEM scope page?
That's correct, yes. We see your website.
So I upload my evidence, which I'm not going to do, and I come down here to my analyzation or analyzing of my claim, and it's required. So you start out with novice. That doesn't mean that that teacher has never taught school before in her life, but the teacher's generating questions her techniques are not very good. She's only getting them from a few students, all the way up to role model where she's getting something from everyone. So this teacher, there's one for gaining skill, which is 50%, and then for 80%. So which one of these do you think it would, which one would you choose? Based on 43%.
Novice.
Okay, novice. That's what because she was only getting responses from the people who had their hands raised. So down here in the examples, I would put only call on students with hands raised towards the front of the room. There's my evidence. That's all I have to put. That makes my claim valid. There's room there for one. I have some that put 2 or 3 in one little box. We have room for you to add more. So second or third, that's not required. These are optional on the second one. This first one is required. Then we have the recommendations. Okay, this one's required. So a recommendation would be to try another strategy. And I always start mine out with my suggestion. Suggestion would be to try, think, pair, share, etc., 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 where they talk with one another, and each of them has to come up with one comment about what they learned from the other person on the question that was given. Or you could have a whiteboard. I would suggest each teacher use a whiteboard or laminate white paper and make whiteboards out of them. But a suggestion that would move this teacher at least towards gaining skill. We want her all the way to role model, but at least to gaining skill. And then that's required. No recommendation. Like I got one yesterday. There are several things this teacher could do. That was all they said. There was no recommendation, so she had to resubmit. There's several suggestions. What are they? So here's where you can upload some photographs or artifacts to actually validate what's going on in your class. That's up to you. They're not required. And then if you could see the whole thing, then I have a place where I look at it and I say yes, 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 yes for each one of those steps that are required. And then there's a box for me to add my warm fuzzies and any other comments that I want to make too, especially if it's a resubmit. I might make a comment. I might say, while this was a good submission in certain areas, and I'll give the areas like the data and the evidence document, you did not give me valid examples or any suggestions at all to fit this indicator. So I gave you a positive, but I also told you it had to be resubmitted because. I am not one of the people that goes through and never gives you a comment. I don't always comment on every one, but I give a comment on most of them, and there's always a comment at the end. Always. My time isn't that valuable that I can't take the time to do it. But this is what a submission is. And you just have to take your time, think about it. You make sure that if you leave to go do something before you get off this computer, you save it. Because if you don't and your computer goes off or it goes to sleep, it probably will not save it. So I got to the end, towards the end of when I was finishing up, I hit saved after everything I wrote because it wasn't saving it. And so make sure you save everything if you're going to have to leave for a little while. And then you can always come back to it. Does that explain what is needed? So I've gone pretty fast. I will admit this is my first one. So I'm learning all the ins and outs of sharing and stuff with you. And I appreciate your patience with me. I'm more than willing. You know, we actually launched one on Wednesday. I've already had 6 submissions from them. And there's only 4 of them. and so, or 5, and so not everybody, but I had 3 from one lady the first day. And so, you can start whenever you feel comfortable, but if you have a goal, my goal when I did it, but I was not doing it in a group, I did mine, I did 4 a week, and I did 2 on the weekends. For some of the submissions, they're very easy. Doesn't take a long time. For others, it's a lot. But you're teaching full time, and I was not. And you have a family. I don't have anybody here with me except my dog, and I'm retired. So you do it when you can do it. And if you can get together for 30 minutes before school or 30 minutes after school, that's fine too. And work together, or just chat. Get on, a chat group or whatever, however you do it. I also, if you decide you want to do, of course, this might be too early for you. We can also do office hours in the morning. I know you're an hour difference from me, but if you have, an hour in the morning you want, instead of staying in the afternoon, you want an hour in the middle of the day where all of you are off the same conference period, or you can all get together, or you can get together, the majority of you can get together, then by all means, let me know. I'm willing to work any way we can work it with the office hours.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
So, but are there any more questions?
No, we'll find some as we're going through.
Well, now it's going to be just starting your submissions, and this is the weekend coming up, so you may not want to do it this weekend unless you want to get on one of our videos or YouTube, but or unless you want to talk about it with each other before you start one, get together for your first one. You can do these in any order. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of my candidates yesterday that I graded started with 15. So they don't have to be in any order. You can start anywhere. So you can skip around. So if there's no more questions, I'm not going to take any more of your time, because I know you'd probably like to get home this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
I'm sure it has been. I can remember those weeks. But anyway, I thank you so much for your patience and your time, and I hope that I've helped you, and I look forward to assessing those submissions. I'm excited about. I've not had my own school before.
Oh,
So I'm excited.
you.
So have a good weekend. Oh, Ashley, do you need anything to tell them? Ashley?
No, you did a great job. That was great. Nope, everything's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you all so much, and have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to hearing from you about our office hours.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Oh, you going?
I have to figure out how to stop the,
Hang up.
So we can't have a meeting on Monday.
oh, no, that's not what I want.
I want to get some stuff.
Okay, stop.